Hello, hello. Welcome back to which episode? Sleep Detectives. I was legitimately going to be like, welcome back, Nap Trappers. I mean, you're all Nap Trappers to us, but this is our special Sleep Detectives episode where Beck and I, your most favourite sleep consultants in the whole wide world, answer your baby sleep questions. I saw that Beck and I quickly popped up a box this morning on our socials because we'd totally forgotten. So thank you to everyone who has responded, because otherwise we'd just be chatting to each other for the next 28 minutes.
I know, it's been an absolute week. I tell you what, it's been so busy. You and I both have been just swept off our feet. So it's been busy, but it's been amazing, and we're just sort of catching our breath a little bit now. So it's nice to sort of get into the nitty-gritty and answer some of the questions, because we love doing
Absolutely. It's a nice way to round out the week, isn't it?
Like, I agree. I look forward to
down.
It. Yeah, have a little natter. Yep.
Yeah,
we do.
We've just been chatting for 45 minutes already.
Yes. And we do a little bit of mapping out our weeks and what clients we've got coming up, and get each other's thoughts on certain situations. So it's great. We are quite collaborative, aren't we, when it comes to
yes. I'd be lost without you, Beck.
Oh, I would be the same. Well, let's get into it. I think this is a great question to kick off with. I have got... I love this question. When do you recommend starting sleep training, i.e. what age?
I think that's a great question.
Yeah.
And actually, I was giving a baby sleep talk yesterday at a mother's group, and this question came up because these babies were 3.5 to 4 months old. I don't know. I kind of have these two. I've got 2.5 answers. Maybe we'll just do a whole episode on this if I keep going. I think there is one definition of sleep training where you can be laying foundations and having a go at popping baby down asleep kind of from the day they're brought home, not in any kind of like exaggerated hardcore way, and never ending up at the point where you need to officially Friday night rip the Band-Aid, sleep, train, teach self-settling. And for me, there's a definition of sleep training that if you've just kind of always had a go and you've always been trying to do less of the assistance and working on the self-settling, that you could have sleep trained essentially from day one. And that's kind of how you and I have
both done
got our babies. Yeah. So even though I can't say, I can say that I've never actively had to sleep train. I have always done it from day one. So in a way I have sleep trained.
I think maybe just a conscious effort to create opportunities for independent sleep. Not in a hardcore way that when they're like 3 or 4 weeks old, they're crying themselves off to sleep. Like, absolutely not.
Gosh,
like,
no.
but it's like, that's not how we roll. But I think it's just presenting opportunities from a really young age, is just kind of makes it a little easier for like they know how to fall asleep in the bassinet or the cot. They know how to fall asleep in different spaces other than the cot in your arms. It could be the rocker or the bouncer
just being
or the
used
pram.
to being on their back versus
on their
upright
back
in the carrier or being held.
And sort of just being able to do less. Like if you get your timings right, I always found like that if you watched your clock closely, like I know a lot. For me, it's not tired signs as such. It's clock-based and tired signs from a really young age. And so I think that if you're really mindful of the time, because it's very easy to go from a baby that is just winding down, and then within like 1 or 2 minutes they are absolutely cooked and you cannot get them down, like like, so if you know that your marker at 3 weeks is about 45 minutes, you are watching and you're preempting that and you're not waiting for the tired signs as such. You're sort of going, okay, 45 minutes and we're done.
And I think that's really helpful. I know this isn't the exact answer to the question. We'll get to the like more active sleep training.
We'll actually answer the question. Yeah.
But please wait while we indulge ourselves in this. Is that the clock is incredibly important and useful, because if you end up having a beautiful baby like my second, I stared at him to watch for tired signs. My daughter had very clear ones. I've talked about this before, the glazed donut where she'd go all Krispy Kreme in her eyes. I'd be like, swaddle, white noise, down, and she just nailed the brief. I
Yeah.
stared at my second. I literally remember being like, I'm going home now from the park because I need to watch this baby and try and figure him out. Non-existent.
Yeah, right.
Non-existent for weeks. He just had this, or it was so subtle. It was, I couldn't tell. I could not tell. And I meant to be able to tell. Of all the people, with all the babies, I was meant to know. And so what I ended up having to be like, no, I know he can't do a
Yeah.
3-hour wake window despite him suggesting otherwise at 3 weeks. I'm going to be the parent here and I'm going to put this baby to
Yeah.
sleep because he was happy to just literally kick on. Because yes, so it is this hybrid, but if you are listening to be like, yeah, that's all well and good. My baby doesn't have really overt and obvious tired signs. I hear you. I see you. I was you.
Yeah.
You need to then work more so to the clock using an average age appropriate wake window and actively put them to sleep. You decide time for
Yeah.
sleep now, 3-week-old
Yeah.
baby, because some just don't want to indicate. In terms of more active sleep training, I guess, for want of a better description, really deciding, okay, we're going to make a bit of a project of this and work on independent sleep skills. I will definitely do this usually from 4 months of age, even more so from 5 to 6, once we've got some solids usually in the mix and we know just developmentally babies have greater skills at consolidating sleep skills. The reason I used to be very nervous, like when I started this 8 years ago, I was always hesitant about working with 4-month-old babies. But I think primarily when I look back, it was because often expectations are unrealistic.
Yeah.
That some parents think if I sleep train, we're going to drop all night, I don't have to get up in the night and do night feeds. They'll take 3 2-hour naps. And I'll take 4 45-minute naps and we're going to keep
Yeah.
2 feeds. And if baby happens to sleep through one, fantastic, we can go with the flow. But I think sometimes there is really unrealistic expectations. Nowadays, my confidence has grown exponentially over the last 8 years. So I'm like, great, if you're really struggling, we can absolutely sleep train. And some babies are so ready at this age. And sometimes it's been my fastest results as well because they haven't had 10 months of deeply ingrained sleep associations and habits that we're trying to undo. They've been a newborn up until 3 weeks ago. And so they're kind of a fresh start. But I'm very clear now on what the expectations are. And then usually babies even outperform those.
I'm very similar to you. I feel like 5 to 6 months is my favorite in terms of if you're waiting to start sleep training, like that would be the age. So if you're sort of thinking about it, that would be a great age. Again, for the very same reasons, solids are starting to become introduced, all the things. We have to kind of carefully line up the day in terms of where everything is. And so often just the reshaping of the day, calories and solids and nap placements and all that sort of thing that will bring about, really organic, positive changes
Improvements.
overnight. Yeah. But the other thing to consider is the right time to sleep train is when you're ready.
Yes.
So there is no other way in which it's going to work if you're not ready to do it. And some families, and I was speaking to a mum yesterday, she's got her 3rd little one, and she was just sort of thinking he's going to, like, not her first rodeo. The first 2 are completely different to this 3rd baby. She keeps thinking it's going to, get better and so forth. And she'd heard a friend talk about me and they recommended that, she la 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 la.
Yeah.
But she wasn't ready back then. She wasn't ready. And then she'd had like a really wonky night and a really, hectic day. And it was at that point that she was like, I'm done. I need to get this sorted. Like I need almost like a gift to herself in terms of I actually need more sleep now and I need to do something about this in order to have a better sort of family unit and so forth where everything is working better. And so it's that moment of clarity that will get you the results that you need. Because if
Yeah.
you're only half in, one toe in, one toe out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, it's really hard to commit to the process. And, the process isn't actually that complicated, or, it is sometimes tricky to hear you, or like hard to hear your little one cry if you're not used
Mhm.
to your baby crying. But for the most part, you and I, Sally, we try and minimize tears wherever possible. So there's not
Always, yeah.
ordinarily that much crying.
Mm.
Most families will report back that, oh gosh, that wasn't, that was not nearly
Yeah, I
as
wish I
hard as I
did
thought it
this.
was going
I
to
wish
be.
I'd done this
Yeah.
earlier. Yeah, it's fear of the
Yeah.
unknown, and
Yeah.
we never sugarcoat the crying, because crying happens with any kind of change.
Yeah.
Crying happened in the car for me. Like crying
Yeah.
happened in my arms. My big focus is, can we make this productive at least, and it
Yes.
to be
Yeah.
very short lived, and to be able to see the genuine progress as we
Mm.
head towards your goals. Even similar to you, I was chatting with a mum yesterday who is now onto her second baby, and asked this exact question, like, when can we? Because with their first, they got to 14 months, and her words were, one night I felt like I was going to die if I had to keep doing whatever they
Oh.
were doing. And
Oh.
kind of we all had a little laugh. And I said to her, I, I know, we've all just had a giggle, but I have worked with parents and mothers primarily that have said to me, I logically know I can't die from sleep deprivation,
Mm.
but I feel like I
Mm.
could. I feel that
Yeah.
shocking, but also I feel unsafe driving. I've had
Yeah.
mothers that have noticed that they've nodded off in the car. And there are studies that correlate um, sleep deprivation in mothers with drunk driving. I'm not saying that to fearmonger, but
Mm.
you can feel that extreme struggle. And so at 14 months, and over the course of 1 week, particularly just the first night, and then they have never, ever looked back.
Yeah.
And so whether it's at 4 months, whether it's at 14 months, there is no right time. It's when you get to the point of, this is unsustainable, I need to make active change. And sometimes I actually find when I work with families that have, not that I ever want a family to feel like they've hit rock bottom, but it's the only way is up from there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
It's
that's right.
your life will be transformed. The other
Mm.
thing that we can briefly touch on is actually, before we even get to the sleep training, which is really, the form of formalized work, is sleep shaping. So it's
Mm.
not that you have to wait until 4, 5, 6 months and just struggle, 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 struggle. You can start sleep shaping. And what I mean by that is kind of what we touched on, that you can be offering these moments of opportunities, but working on sleep hygiene,
Mm.
getting the correct swaddle for your younger baby. Is the room set up from 8 weeks in a 9 to 10 out of 10 dark room to encourage your baby's naturally developing circadian rhythm and body clock?
Mm.
Are feeds established, or understandably, it's very easy to get into a snacky cycle during the day and overnight? Is there reflux that needs to be medically resolved? Oral ties? It's about, have you got a bedtime routine?
Mm.
We've got a whole episode on the science behind the bedtime routine, which you can start from very early on. I've got photos of us reading Harry Potter to my daughter when she's weeks old. Definitely not taking it in. I'm
Does
still
she
yet
love
to
it?
hear, yeah, which if she's a Gryffindor or not. But you can start all of these things, wake windows, as you mentioned, all of that, and start having a go with different techniques. Pick up, put down, shush, pat. You just move sort of through the hierarchy of soothing and shape sleep, shape the day, shape your feeds. And then if you need to sort of turn it up a notch when you get to 4, 5, 6 months onwards, or whenever, bang, you're on.
We have these like phone consultations, Sally and I, which I think a lot of families find really helpful in terms
Mm,
of having maybe they're not necessarily ready for sleep training as such, but they would like an assessment of their logs.
yes.
Look at, they want us to have a little look at what's going on, and if there's any tweaks or
Mm,
modifications we would make to their daily schedule, and, our recommendations for how they move forward without sleep training. And those are really
mm.
popular. Like that's a really
Yeah.
great way to sort of, if you're not ready for the sleep training side of things, but you just want to improve and shape your day and optimize,
Mm.
they're a great option for families.
Mm.
Really great option.
I do a lot of those for 11 to 12-week-old babies. It's
Mm.
usually those are the ages in my inbox because sort of the novelty of the the newborn sleep deprivation has worn off. You are starting to want to get some rhythm and routine to your day, and
Mm.
you want to kind of future proof as well. Like, where is this going? How do I get to 4 months and 5 months? And whether or not you end up needing to or wanting to formally sleep train. And I also am just the biggest believer that sleep support in any form should be available at any stage. It shouldn't
Mm.
be, well, just hang in there until
Mm.
5 months, because that can feel like a really long time
Oh,
if you are
yeah.
struggling now. So what I would say is that if you are just looking for support, an audit, a sounding board, like sometimes we will make a suggestion about a different swaddle, and that's the game changer.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so and then we tell you which naps you can do out on the walk, so you don't have to feel like you're chained to the cot. So yeah, I am just the biggest believer that better sleep and feeling supported should be available at any age. Wow, that was a 16-minute answer to one sleep
Wow.
detective
Was it
question. It's
16
a good
minutes?
question.
It is a great
Something like
question.
that.
And I think we were very thorough in our answer. So
Yeah. You're welcome. You got a mini episode all in that. Okay, I think you've got another question. Have you got another question?
I do. This one's going to require a little bit of like calculations, so we'll
Okay.
get into it. Sophie asks, 1-year-old and 9 p.m. flight to Europe, best day schedule to follow for the 9 p.m. flight. So what I'm assuming is she just wants to know how she manages her day in terms of getting onto
To
that
get
plane
to
at
the
9 o'clock.
airport.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you say a
I'm
1-year-old?
one. Yeah. So I'm
Oh,
just going to go
first
with
of
the
all, I'm
idea
really
that they're,
jealous.
yeah, I know, like everyone's going
Can
to
we
Europe.
come
My
too?
God, I go to Europe. Like I just, yeah.
Nap
Anyway,
trap tour?
but yeah, maybe we're, yeah, maybe we
Sorry,
should plan
Australia. We're
that.
going straight to Europe.
See you over there.
Tax write-off.
um, there's a couple of ways to do this. Honestly, there's so many ways to do this, and I would, being a 9 p.m. flight, I would probably just do your normal naps in through the day, and
Mhm.
then when you get to the airport, I'm going to assume like 9 p.m. flight, you're probably going through customs by 7 o'clock. You're probably in the departures by just after 7.
Yep.
I'm just going to think maybe once you get into the departures that you offer your milk feed and then they have like a 10 or 15-minute snooze just to sort of refresh. And then
Mm.
once you're on the plane, that would be a case of then, getting them sorted, getting them organized into the sleeping bag, do a little bit of prep, and then offer the remainder of the feed or, however you want to roll, and just get them off to sleep for their actual bedtime then. Um, that's the best laid plan. Like for me,
I
there
was
may
going to
not
say,
be a little tiny snooze. Like they might just refuse, and
yeah,
then
I can also see
yeah,
that playing out. And having traveled overseas with young children, semi-recently, I think, I've been surprised at how my plans have gone out the window
mm,
and that they have
yeah,
just kicked on because it's usually bright, it's noisy, and there's a lot of sort of unexpected moments where you're like, oh, I got to get them out of the pram, collapse the yo-yo, put it through
oh
security, or take them.
yes,
Oh, they've just fallen asleep in the carrier. Oh, I got, pulled aside for the pat down. You're like, no, that was my
oh yeah,
15-minute. Or if you're in the Qantas lounge and then all of a sudden the announcement but I think, yeah, if you can have some sort of bridge to the 9 p.m., that would be bridging nap. That would be the holy grail. I just am the biggest believer. You just got to have a go and
gotta have a
see
go.
what happens. And look, you'll probably then need to do another milk feed, or if a breastfeeding mother's listening, I would have then popped a baby back on the breast as we took off
Yeah,
to try and be like, we're going to restart that whole bedtime routine.
yeah.
Um, and yeah,
I mean, and just while
not
we're
very
talking about
helpful
it,
of me.
maybe I'm thinking also that, like, if I was really thinking about this, I would maybe even split the naps slightly differently. So instead of doing like the transition of the 30 minutes and the 2 hours, I would maybe do 10 to 11 for nap one, and then
Mhm.
maybe like 2:30
And
to
then I do a
3:30 or
later.
4 o'clock, and then
Yep.
bedtime would be later. And perhaps that would work better,
Mm,
because then you're not having to try and factor in a little mini snooze at the airport that then might
mm,
take so much sleep pressure out of the equation that they don't fall asleep until
yep.
midnight or something like that. So
Oh,
I would,
yeah.
in hindsight, I would probably just do the nap slightly differently through the day. Makes
I
nap two
also
slightly
think
later.
we don't know what kind of sleeper this little one
Mm,
is. Some are just so beautifully and easily driven by their internal body clock that come 7:30, they're happy to just fall asleep in your
mm,
lap, over your shoulder, in the pram, and they need
mm.
very little assistance in doing so. And then there's ones that are a little bit jazzier that could be like, oh, this is lights, camera, action, and you're
Yeah,
going
because
up
there's
and
a lot
down and
going
up and
on at the
down.
airport.
I would
Yeah.
pack the sleeping bag, you pack the portable white noise, you try
Hmm.
your best to make it dark if you squeeze in that nap, and all you can do is have a go. Okay, what to do when baby refuses naps even though they are absolutely tired and sleep trained?
Hmm. I think this really depends on how old the little one is, because answers would be different. If it was, if and your goal, like, where are you up to? Are you
Yes. So
is
I
this
actually know because now that I read the name, I know that I've sleep trained this baby a couple
okay?
of months ago, but I can't off the top of my head remember how old he is. Um, but if we use it in the context of, okay, this is a sleep train, but as in like naps and nights are no longer an issue.
An
Things
issue.
have been smooth sailing from since you've sleep trained. I am inclined you just ride it out. Um, but again, it depends on the age in terms of do you then have a bridging nap? Like, do you then do your milk run, for example, that we've talked
Mm,
about in other episodes? Do you then do a circuit breaker nap? It depends. Is this a one off? Is this happening multiple days? So, do you need a schedule review to build increased sleep pressure? You know, maybe they've just outgrown the last schedule and we
mm.
need to retweak. Um, do you think a habit has crept back in that, oh, I let them go for 30 minutes, for example, for nap two, and then I go in and assist? In which case it can easily be ritualized. I cry for 30 minutes, mum comes in and rescues the nap, and this is the new status quo. Um, I'm trying to think of what I would do because I've definitely had days with my own babies where I'm like, whoa, what is happening here? Like,
Mm.
this
Yeah.
nap is apparently a no go for absolutely no obvious reason. And I have probably worked more to cot time. So I'd be like, okay, we're aiming for a 12:30 till 2 nap, let's say. I'll call it a day at 1:30 and just see. And usually by that time, uh, mine would have gone back to s I feel like I'm gonna sound like a hard ass saying this, but I would usually be like, "I think I need to outlast you here so that this doesn't become a pattern."
Oh, there is, when you know a little one is tired, then
Mm.
you know that they're tired. So that's when yeah, I'm going to sound like a bit of a hard ass too,
Oh,
particularly
thank
say if you're on
goodness.
a yeah, like on a 2 nap schedule. So let's just say, I think we talked about this in another episode as well, but say you're on a 2 nap schedule and they've had their first nap and then your timings are all right. And then, the nap two is starting at 1:30 and it's designed
Mm,
to go until like 3 o'clock. Um, like there's no ifs or buts for me. I know this child is tired.
mm.
And if I've got an inkling that maybe there is some teething and so forth, I'm going to sort that out with Panadol or
Yeah,
Nurofen,
yep,
and I'm going
yep.
to sort of
You
cover
do
all
your
bases there.
checklist.
Yeah, but in the sense that I know you're tired.
Mm.
I know you're tired. I know that you can typically sleep really well. I'm not entirely sure why you've decided not to today. But but I take a little bit of the emotion out of it, and I would
Yeah.
just mainly also, being a mum of three. I didn't have time to sort of sit there and wonder. And, like I was always busy. There was always somebody else I needed to chase or change a nappy for or break up fights or whatever it might have been. So
Yeah.
there was lots of other things going on for me that was made it easier to sort of go, she'll be fine or he'll be fine. It's nap time. They'll fall
Yeah.
asleep eventually. But I appreciate when you've only got the one and you're sitting there waiting and like 5 minutes feels like 5 hours. Like
Oh,
that
it feels.
can be really difficult.
I
Yeah.
definitely, yes, I sound like a hard ass, but it's not comfortable. It's not
No.
comfortable because you go through, your doubt creeps in like, oh my God, have I missed
even
something?
sleep
Is this, are we
consultants.
dropping?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when, like if I would known you back when I had tiny babies, I would be like, Beck, tell me to, and you would have said, hold steady. Hold steady. So we're going to tell you most likely hold steady, because if you do, the next day is usually a breeze. And that is that's anecdotal evidence as well, in my own house. If I have remained steady during that blip, the next day we are back to, as you said before, regular programming.
Yeah, that's right.
But when I have doubted, added something in, I have to start again the next day. But with they've got new intelligence on me to be like, no, I know she's weak. So I would say if you know that they're tired and you have a sleep trained baby, you are not asking them to do anything they don't know how to do. You do your quick audit, schedule, environment, toofy pegs, all of those things, and then you crack on with the nap. You work to cot time, and look, if the nap doesn't happen, you either need to do a little rescue, again, depending on age, or you do a really early bedtime. All you can do is try. And this is what I tell clients all the time. We can't make babies go to sleep. And we can't make them stay asleep. Beck, you and I would be out of a job if that was that, hit factory reset and just, or the off button. All you can do is get on the schedule, and then it's about consistent opportunity.
This is right.
And you keep turning up.
If you're unsure if you need a schedule change, this is where a consultant can help you. Yeah.
Is it me you're looking for?
Yeah,
we love a schedule review.
Yeah. So jump in and let us know.
Excellent. Okay, this one is also about naps. This 10-month-old baby is on 2 naps. Is it better to assist to sleep or end up overtired trying to self-settle for naps? This is where I actually feel excited, because I feel like, oh, where are you up to in your sleep training, self-settling? Because the answer kind of changes, like all of these questions. We need to know more. We want to know more. Yeah. So my first thought is, if let's say you've sleep trained bedtime and overnight and you have not yet tackled self-settling for naps, you and I would only work 1 nap at a time. So that would mean that you fully assist, as they're saying, for one of the naps, and then you would sleep train and nap train the other nap. That way you minimize overtiredness as much as possible. And I think the ironic thing is that you and I talk about, and every second sleep consultant talks a lot about overtiredness, avoid overtiredness. At some point in the process of sleep training and nutting things out, it can be sort of a natural byproduct of it. We don't have to be terrified of it. We just want to always try our best to minimize it, particularly long term. So yes, there may still be some, at 10 months, let's say we're aiming for the 2 till 3:30 nap. I'm just thinking if that's 9:30 to 11. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Quick calculations. Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Hold, please. Then, if one of the naps is short, something's going to be brought forward and that your day's going to look a bit clunky, but you just keep practicing. If you are just sleep training at bedtime and overnight, then I would be fully assisting both naps to just get to bedtime, build up the sleep totals, get their little body clock on the schedule, and then we start working one-on-one, 1 nap at a time. I've seriously lost my words after trying to do those maths calculations in my head. But I don't know. What's your answer? Is it better to assist to sleep or end up Or are they talking about, do we rescue the nap?
Clients and, maybe listeners might have heard me before saying it's better to achieve the nap than to force a self-settle if we are working on nights and, and so if we're working on nights, we're going to assist the naps to get off to sleep. So by assisting, I'm going to presume they mean just getting baby off to sleep rather than
Rocking,
rescuing.
bouncing, pram,
Yeah.
carrier. Yeah.
So if we're working on nights, then yes, we're assisting until we get to a point where they're used to the sleep training technique, and then we can implement it for the naps. There are so many different ways that we would actually do this, and I think that this is why it can be a little confusing to answer, because there are times when we will allow a settling opportunity to go for, say, 15, 20 minutes, and then we would rescue it and keep the naps in check. There are times when we would assist nap 1 just to get it done, but we would shorten it so that we preserve sleep pressure for nap 2.
Yes.
And then we would go harder on nap 2. By harder, I don't mean like Rocky Balboa. I mean, like, we create a lot more opportunity for the nap to be successful by creating sleep pressure and reducing
we use that one
stimulation
as
and so forth.
Right, we are nap training this one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
And then if that's the case, then we would probably work for until little one goes off to sleep. So we would use that as our,
or the
let's
end
just
of
go
the
for it.
scheduled nap time.
That's right. And, usually we're very confident at this point that their skill set is there. We just need to present a longer opportunity in terms of, okay, let's keep going. We need more than 15, 20 minutes. Our little one needs to have a little bit longer here. And so we provide that there, knowing that we've got a bigger chunk of time to work with, like on a 2-nap schedule. So
I think
lots of different answers.
Yeah, I think that's the sort of the crux of the answer to this question is, where are you up to? Because if you're just trying to teach self-settling for naps just straight off the bat, it's usually pretty tricky if the skill set isn't there. And then what ends up happening is you do start to doubt, oh my goodness, if they miss their first nap because I've been trying this, then I'm chasing my tail with an overtired baby for the rest of the day. And equally, that can happen for the second nap. And then you think, I can't do a 4:00 bedtime if they, and so the cycle continues. So I think the answer is that you need a strategy.
Yeah, that's right.
You need a strategy, and it's usually about working one nap at a time, and there are different ways in which to strategize, as Beth just outlined. But for example, I recently worked with a 6-month-old who the first day when we worked on naps, instead of the 45-minute fully assisted nap in the morning that he'd been having while we worked on bedtime and overnight, we capped that at 30 minutes. We used his full wake window to get to nap 2. We treated it just like bedtime, and what do you know? He slept the whole nap 2. Yeah. Because the strategy was, we cap the nap, as you outlined before, Beck. We build the sleep pressure. We have the longest time to practice, and he happened to just be pretty cruisy with it. But we would have been nap training for the length of it, and then we had nap 3 to rescue the day if needed. So strategy. Yeah. And that's where, naps can be a beast. Naps can feel
honestly,
so
they are
tricky.
notoriously difficult to achieve. And so that's where you'll get the odd family that have nap trained naps and they haven't been able to do the nights. And I'm like, if you have been able to do the naps, you are home and hosed. Like, let's just finesse things a little bit at night.
Yesterday, I was literally on a virtual consult. We're starting a 2-week package. And this baby smashed out a 2-hour nap and then joined the call sort of halfway through. And I was like, mate, if you can do that, I got no problem setting you up for success at bedtime. Like you got no one but to blame but yourself. You just showed us that you could do this. I'm absolutely in agreement. I think if you can do this at nap time, you just don't know
Yeah.
you have to at bedtime and
Yeah.
overnight.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
honestly,
that's right.
but the other thing is that naps are often, for a lot of babies and families, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It is not uncommon for me to work with families where they may crush that nap 2 days in a row. Day 3, shocking,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
clunky,
yeah.
backwards, even for a couple of days. And then you just, I mean, I remember talking to another sleep consultant ages ago, and she said that over the years, she thinks, sometimes I think you got to give naps a month. And she didn't ever say
Oh,
it
yeah.
in the context of like, it'll never get better until, 4 weeks later. But it was just, you have to keep turning up. It's really tricky. It's the middle of the day. Babies are ever evolving.
Yeah.
Give it time. Nights, much faster. Naturally, we're
Yeah.
primed.
But there's so
Now,
much going on. There's so much stimulation in through the day, and it can be, the activities that you've been to in the morning. It's all the new foods you're introducing. It's the gas and the wind and the digestion. It's the new faces that they've just been exposed to, and everyone jiggling them around. Like there is just so much going on through the day that it can really interrupt sleep. And it is exactly like this other sleep consultant said, it is absolutely persistence. You can have all your ducks lined up in a row, and for whatever reason, it just doesn't click into place. But the way that you can influence the outcome is by staying so consistent, so persistent.
Don't panic.
And don't panic. Like just stay strong. And it will all start falling into place. The worst thing to do is to actually start chopping and changing, because the moment you start chopping and changing, the goalposts change, the timings change, the response changes, and then your baby
You're
is left with like
all over the place again. Yeah.
there is no predictability in that whatsoever. So you've just got to hold steady.
And I think that goes sort of to sleep, goes for sleep in general. We've touched on this before, but the desire to fix that you and I, I can speak for myself. I absolutely have that. Like the irony of a sleep consultant being up at 4 a.m. trying to figure out how to fix something, only to wake up and read in the update, oh, baby slept through. And I'm like, okay, because I was like, do I need to? Like, have I missed something? I can drive myself crazy. But most of the time it is just, we do a quick, I mean, we're going to sound like a broken record here, but it almost is fundamentally this simple. You get on the schedule, you get your feeds, you get your solids, you get your environment, and you just keep going. And some babies, it takes longer.
Yeah.
And so then, yes, your job is to trust the process, which is really hard.
Well, it's just like a new job. When you're going in, you've got no idea, from a baby's perspective, and going in as a new employee, and you've got no idea how to perform your job, where the photocopier is, how
I just imagined a little baby in a onesie with hi, my name is, on their little onesie.
But it's, a new job gets easier and easier and easier every day that you turn up. And then, you meet your coworker. Everything starts to become more familiar.
Yeah.
You start understanding the processes. It's not as nerve-wracking or awkward, the more you turn up. And this is the same with sleep work. It is just, it becomes easier and more comfortable, I think, as time goes on. So just persist. It's okay. You'll be fine.
Persist. It's okay. I think that was the pep talk everyone needed to hear, Beck.
Good.
All right. Well, I think we're probably out of time, but luckily there's a few more that we can record on another episode.
Yeah.
Thank you, as always, for sending these in. Like we said at the beginning, we absolutely love doing these and can clearly go deep. We do not need to be having 5. We can do a lot. But no, this is our jam. So thank you so much for sending them through. And on that note, we'll see you on the next episode of Sleep Detectives.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.